We heard from one of your members today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who wrote this morning that on y'all's GOP conference call, she said Speaker Johnson said he has ideas and pages of policy, but did not say a single policy plan. She said, I find it unacceptable that Republicans are sitting on the sidelines doing nothing to fix this healthcare disaster that is leading many Americans into financial ruin.
So that right there is a little fun moment for Kaitlan Collins where she gets to force Mike Johnson to just listen to Marjorie Greene bad-mouthing him. And I would very much like to normalize that. I think that we tried the route of asking Johnson questions like, hey, why haven't you sat Adelita Grijalva? And he's never actually gonna own up to all of that. So don't even worry about the questions. Just state all of the things that people have said about him that mock him and criticize him. That's a lot more fun. But that said, she did, she's a professional journalist, so she allowed him eventually to speak, and here is how he responded to Marjorie Greene's criticisms.
Well, bless her heart, that's an absurd statement. Obviously, these conference calls are monitored by media, so we're not going to have actual strategy discussions on a line where you have hundreds of people listening in, because it would be reported on the front page. We have been working on this for a long time. We worked on it today. We've been working on it every day. Marjorie is not here in Washington. She's not on the committees of jurisdiction, and she's not involved in those specific discussions, but she will be soon because they'll be related to all the House Republicans. This was always going to be a discussion and a debate that was going to be held in bipartisan fashion, by the way, in the month of October and November. We know that the end of the year is the end of those COVID-era subsidies, and there's real reforms that have to be made if they're going to be extended.
Speaker, she's saying that the Republicans aren't doing anything to address the health care issue here that Democrats are arguing about. Are you saying that there is a Republican plan and you're just not talking about it?
No, I'm saying there's lots of discussion about it, but we don't relay it on a conference call with hundreds of people listening in. We have many ideas on how to bring down the cost of health care, to continue to do that, and we've already demonstrated it in the Working Families Tax Cut.
Yeah, you remember when they cut $1 trillion from Medicaid? That was their reform. When they say reform, that is what they mean. So when he says those subsidies are going to go away, and we need to deal with them, but we need to reform them, what do you think? Oh, I wonder if he means they're going to increase them. Oh, I can't wait to find out if they put more funding into it. I'm kind of doubting it at this point. And his little argument that we're not going to discuss any of the specifics on a conference call. Okay, maybe at first blush that kind of makes sense, but there's no indication in private that they're discussing any of this. In terms of like an overall healthcare plan, they don't discuss it on conference calls or on the House floor and interviews or on the campaign trail. They don't put out legislation because then people would see it, You just never reveal it ever because we don't want to give away all of our plans. It's been 10 years now since the ACA. What's their plan? What is any part of their plan? There's literally nothing because they don't have one. And in terms of a plan to end the government shutdown, what have they done? Press conferences? I haven't seen it. Donald Trump doesn't even know that this is going on. Donald Trump's off in fancy dancing room land. He's planning for how fabulous his ballroom is going to be. As all strong alpha men do, he never stops thinking about the fancy room that he's going to dance in. That's it. He doesn't care about the shutdown. He doesn't know about the shutdown. Mike Johnson isn't going to do anything that's going to step on Trump's toes, his dancing toes. And so neither of them are working on it. And so Marjorie Greene is left in the rare position of actually being right in her criticisms. And we're going to discuss this in one moment, but I don't want to end the attacks on Mike Johnson just yet because Marjorie Greene went on Tucker Carlson's show and she hit Johnson a couple more times.
Right now, Tucker, a lot of people are happy about the government shutdown, but I really have no respect for the House not being in session, and I have no respect for Speaker Johnson not calling us back to Washington because we should be passing bills. We should be passing bills that reflect the president's executive orders, which are exactly what we voted for. We should be at work on our committees. We should be doing investigations. And you want to know something? We should be passing the discharge petition that Thomas Massie put in to release the Epstein files. Those are the things that we should be doing. And most of all, Tucker, we should be passing our appropriation bills to actually fund the government and fund important projects that taxpayer dollars, these people pay their taxes. This is how taxpayer dollars come back to your districts. We should be doing that, but no. We're not, and these are the things this is why I have no respect so many times for our party.
Okay, so we're going to discuss this, Viviana. There's some good stuff there. She says she doesn't respect Mike Johnson. They should be working on this. And I think that she's right about all of that. She says, we should do the discharge petition for the Epstein files. That's all good. But in that clip also is everything that is both good and bad about Marjorie Greene's attempt to rebrand herself or come out with a new gimmick. That she's like, we should be passing all of legislation to codify all of Donald Trump's executive orders, all of which we voted for. So like all this criticism she's been doing, she also thinks, nope, all of his executive orders were great. They're all wonderful. Also, Mike Johnson won't let us release these Epstein files. Hey, Marge, does it seem like Donald Trump wants you to do that? Because why can you criticize Johnson on the thing when he's only blocking it because Donald Trump doesn't want him to come out? I don't think Mike Johnson's in the Epstein files. I don't think he has a big pedophile dog in this fight. He's protecting Donald Trump, and so are you. You're coming at it from slightly different angles, it's slightly different favors, but both of you still can't actually identify that Donald Trump is the fundamental problem here when it comes to the Epstein files and also when it comes to those subsidies. Viviana, what do you make of this? As I said, you haven't yet commented on all this Marge stuff.
I've seen a little bit of her new rebranding, as you call it, but really it's the same branding. She does anything it takes to get in front of the cameras. So she's going to be one of those contrarians, one of those people just saying enough, calling out the wrong people. She doesn't want to call out Donald Trump because that would ruin her whole career, but she can call Mike Johnson a liar, and he is a liar.
Yes.
He is the worst and best of liars. I have no empathy, no remorse for their lying. He talks about not wanting to release this sensitive information to hundreds of people watching. Maybe they're just discussing it on discourse. I'm not sure if that's where they're putting all these plans. The other thing is, a lot of these Trump supporters are in an abusive relationship, so to speak, because they want to keep believing these things to be true. When these health subsidies hit the American people, it is going to be painful. We've seen evidence it's going to be a couple of $100s per person, per household. This is, we can't even buy eggs right now. This is insanity. What Mike Johnson will do once that happens, or their plan will be to create some sort of tiny loophole for a small sect of the population that can get maybe a greater subsidy based on, I don't know, whatever factors, but it really won't affect the bulk of the American people. So the lies will continue. And these sadly, Stockholm syndrome abuse victims who are on board, it's going to take them a long time before they start realizing they're sinking in the quicksand. Is that enough analogies, metaphors?
I like a parfait of metaphors to add an extra metaphor to it. I agree about the Stockholm syndrome. And to some extent, I think it's why Marge can't criticize them more. I think that it's started to develop inside of her some actual issues with Donald Trump, but it's still too dangerous to actually come out and say it. She's done more than most, but can't actually do that. Mike Johnson, you think Mike Johnson gives a crap about Donald Trump? Come on. Mike Johnson, his whole career is moving up. He just wants to be in the Paul Ryan Republican Party. That's all he wants. And now it's all this MAGA crap and everything. But he has to pretend to like it. You know who else does, by the way? That clip was just Marge talking, but who is she talking at? Tucker Carlson, who had to pretend on TV to love Donald Trump while secretly behind the scenes, he's texting all of his friends, I hate this guy, he's destroying everything. But Tucker Carlson has, I guess this isn't technically the Stockholm syndrome, it's just that he's a grifter and he has to pretend to support someone that he actually despises. All of them do, because every one of them individually is not strong enough to take him down. But if they had ever had the collective balls to come together, they could have rid of us of him many years ago, and they chose not to do that, and so we're all in a terrible place because of that, including in some ways them. I don't have a lot of sympathy for them since they stuck us with him. But anyway, the shutdown continues. We're now 23 days in. Mike Johnson doesn't care. It's convenient for him because it helps him cover up the Epstein scandal. Donald Trump doesn't even know. He's looking at, tile samples or whatever, or figuring out, chafing dishes or something. The dude's a natural born event planner. And the rest of us are just wondering how much financial damage this is gonna do to us.